It's time for another episode of A Filmmaker's Flight. This is actually going to be episode 1.1, as weird as that is, because I already did one, but we'll talk more about that. Today is April 6th, and it's about 10:54 a.m. in the morning. My name is Chris Burke. I'm a filmmaker, video creator, video producer in Fort Worth, Texas. And today I'm going to talk about this podcast, what we're doing here. So I just had the epiphany. I literally was not planning on recording a podcast today, and it just came to me, and I'm like, I have to run with it. So I'm jumping on it. We're doing it. We're running with this. So here's the gist. I have realized that in the former episodes, I've kind of talked about it from a standpoint of what I was focused on. And I really want to go forward from here and talk about basically things that provide value to every kind of business, not just filmmakers. So now before the filmmaker, listeners get discouraged, we're still going to be talking about video. This is a video podcast, and everything that we do is either involved with storytelling or basically trying to explain something. I guess is I realize storytelling is kind of the same thing, but it can be used for marketing, and that's what we do a lot for our clients. But it can also be used just to inform people, or when it's with nonprofits, sometimes you're just trying to get the message out and stuff like that. So it all involves some sort of strategy or storytelling to get the point across, right? So it's still going to be about that, basically, for lack of a cooler way to say it. I want to take this podcast now to where we're talking that all business owners can benefit and basically learn with me, right? So I do have a lot of things I can share, a lot of good tips of things I've already learned and processes we use when it comes to making videos that convert, that, get people to stay engaged and watch and share and all those different things. But also there's going to be some things that I'm going to be trying out over, the years as we build and grow our business and as we work with other clients. And I just want to share that. So that's basically it. And a really long way to say it. This whole podcast is going to be about sharing some things that we use and methods and just things we've learned, and talk about all the good things you can use video for and how to use them correctly, I guess. I don't like that term, but how you can get the most out of them is what I would say. So kind of in the first episode, and why I say this is going to be 1.1, it's because the first episode is kind of already doing this, where we're kicking off the new season with a new mindset and the way we're going to do things. And a lot of the things I talked about in that episode, which if you haven't already listened, you can go back and listen to that, is still going to be some of the things I'm going to talk about first. On today's episode, I will touch on a little bit of what I talked about in last episode. I know this is getting really confusing. I mentioned that I joined a coaching program / there was a course involved with it a little bit too, and a community that I joined group. And I just want to talk about that a little bit, and why this could pertain to all business owners is because you could find your niche. And I guarantee you there's going to be somebody out there that's doing the same thing, So, and I just want to talk a little bit about the benefits of, why I wanted to join, or I'm kind of saying that weird, but talk about why I wanted to join, and then how it actually was a lot more impactful than I realized it was going to be. I knew that I was going to get benefit out of it, and then I would get a return on my investment, which I definitely did. But also there was a lot of added bonuses that I didn't expect. So that's kind of, in another way explaining what I want this to be about. Some of the future episodes we'll talk about, types of videos you can make for your business. We'll talk about, even when it comes to just things about marketing. I eventually am going to, I say eventually, it could be next episode, I'm going to start bringing people in to talk to, whether that be in person, on Zoom, and just kind of delve more into the marketing world a little bit. So it's not necessarily centered around video per se, but it's important. Even to the filmmaker crowd that might have been listening to this from, episode 1 in season 1, this will still, if you're looking to get into making corporate videos, then this is going to pertain to you, because when you start making videos more and more, it often leads to, what do I do with this now that I've made it? Or when you are using videos in a marketing sense or on social media, how to go about creating them, because you can't make a 30-minute video for Facebook. It probably won't do very well. Or at least last I checked. That might change at some point, but that's kind of the point, is figuring out the best way to go about making content for where it's going to live, and what it's supposed to do in the end. And because don't get me wrong, there's videos that can be 4 or 5 minutes long, when somebody might say it should be 30 seconds on Instagram, no more than 30 seconds. But I literally stayed for the whole 5 minutes because I was just so engaged. So yeah. So I hope that all makes sense. I just kind of want to kick it off, and in an effort to get things going and not put this off. And here I am doing it, just jumped right on today. You already know all that. But yes, I will start planning these things out. Maybe I'll even start chopping some of this stuff up. Not, like we don't have to go too deep into this, but we'll start sharing some of this content, so that you guys can have some of these things to remember, like the tips and tricks and stuff like that. But that's basically it. There's no agenda. I really had just kind of thought to myself, I want to be creating more content for my social media. It's one of those things that like we do and help other businesses with, and we're not really drinking our own Kool-Aid here. And that's a problem. So I invite you guys to come along with me, learn some of the things that I've already learned, and then learn along with me on some of these other things. And, I'm like an open book when it comes to how you can use video. I literally tell people all the time that some of the videos we make that we're hired to make, there's a formula and a process, and I'm totally happy to share it with you. I do think if, we came along and you hired us to help you do it, it's going to end up being a little bit better than if you did it on your own. But that's not to say that I will totally, I'm happy to share whatever it is, if that helps. And if you are somebody who's kind of into video already, maybe you shoot your own stuff and you edit your own stuff, and you can take some of this and run with it and like actually get value out of it. That's huge. Cause like, that's honestly how I learned it, is from, other people or reading books. And so I just want to give back. So that sounds really cheesy, I guess, a little bit, but it's the truth. I just kind of like talking to the camera, if you can't already tell, and I need to be creating content, and we're going to do this. So try and keep this to about 30 minutes, although I'm a talker. But we've already burned up, I don't know how much time, probably 8 minutes. That was not needed to be said. So yes, I don't really have an agenda. What we're going to talk about today though, is that, I hired a coach / paid for a course / signed up for it's really hard to, so when I joined, I'll just be fully transparent with you guys. To me, I was buying a course. I had followed the group that I'm a part of for a long time. A lot of the people that might end up watching this are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. And for whatever reason, I'm not like hiding the name for any reason, but I don't, it's not available anymore. So I don't want to get you into that. It's a long story. We'll talk about that maybe at the end or another time. If you're interested, comment or let me know. Those of you guys that were there with me or a part of the group, you know what I'm talking about. Sorry to be so vague. It doesn't matter though. The point is that I went in to join a course because I wanted to learn a little bit more about how to sell, and networking and things like that I need to do on the business side of things with making videos for clients and stuff like that. So I feel like for a long time I've been studying the technical side of video when it comes to like camera settings, composition, lighting, all those good, fun things. And it was great. And I love it. And I still learn that. But, in order to make it a business, or a successful business, I should say, we needed to start thinking about like how to find clients, how to, get the clients to sign up, like close the clients. How do we get them to actually agree to work with us? How do we network and actually build real relationships and not just go out there and just like, trick people into paying us money. Like we want to provide value. We want to actually make sure that they're getting a return on their investment. And so I found this group. They have a course. I signed up for it. And it turns out it comes with coaching as well. There's like a group that you join and we all like bonded, and the coach, there was 2 coaches. It was huge. Like their part was really huge in it. And if I'm being completely honest with it, a lot of it was stuff that like, if I would have searched through the free group that they have, before you join, or like through YouTube, and I probably could have found all this information, but it would have taken me a lot longer. And I think the biggest change, and what I want, hopefully you've made it this far into the video, is the most important thing we talk about today is that it was me holding myself accountable and challenging myself to actually lean into what's uncomfortable, to put myself out there. Like it's a pretty good sized list, but it could be summed up by saying, when someone tells you to go out and let's say it's like cold calling, for instance, or cold emailing. I think a lot of us would cringe when we hear that. I did. I don't like it whenever people come at me and try to sell me on stuff. I have learned now that there are people that are really good at it and have built their whole businesses on it. And when you see them do it, you realize that there is a way to do it where you don't come off sleazy or salesy. And there are times too when you reach out to someone totally cold and say, here's what I do for a living. And then they go, oh, we were just thinking about doing that, or we actually need your services. So those are people that you would have never had if you hadn't reached out to them. So that's just one small example of like something that would be easy to say, I just don't know. I'm not good at talking. I'm going to stumble through my words. They're not going to like me. They're going to be mad that I'm doing it. Whatever it is that you make excuses in your head. By joining this program, I was pushed into situations that were just like that would have made me say, I don't have a choice. Like I got to figure out, find the strength. You're making this happen. Like we would be challenged for the week to do something that sometimes seemed, I don't like the word impossible. It wasn't impossible. It just seemed really tough to, accomplish or complete. And we would all complete it, and even some of us, like literally, shout out to Kevin, if you end up seeing this, would do it like the day of that it's due, and not by choice. Sometimes it's just things would literally like just be stacked against you up until the last minute, but somehow, some way, we would always find a way. And I think a lot of that came back to the accountability, and not just having the group and the coach there to like literally call you out on your BS, but also having yourself like be like not wanting to let people down. So I think the group not being there, that would be a little bit harder. But when you pay for something, like if I'm being real with you, like a course or something, especially if you pay a good amount for it, you end up to where you're like, I need to get my money's worth out of it. Or, I would hope so. Right. So, oh, wow. One of my clients' vehicles just drove by. That's cool. They're actually like not in my city. So that's why it's kind of cool to see their vehicle. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. So basically that could be the whole podcast in its own, is that like, I definitely am telling you that I recommend hiring a coach or paying for a course, even if it's, in this case, I spent $2,000 on this course, which might sound like a lot of money to some people. And I'm going to even one up it again by telling you it was in a time when I'm transitioning into doing this full time. So before, I've been doing video with this specific business in this specific way since 2017, but through building the business, I have been doing work on the side, however I could find it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't work at a grocery store necessarily, but like to me, it was like the same thing. I had a consistent paycheck that I could rely on if I wasn't bringing in clients. And this year, 2021, is the first year that I decided to cut the cord and just jump off the cliff with no safety net. I do not recommend that to anybody else. This is not for everyone. They were literally talking about this in the group the other day, and a lot of people do quit their jobs and go full-time in their business, but they also have a safety net of a couple months or up to 6 months of income saved so that they have something to fall back on. This is just my story. I have to stress over and over again, I'm not recommending you do this. The only reason I did it, if you must know, is because I knew that I would not push myself as hard as I needed to be pushed if I had that safety net to fall back on. I knew that it would be a situation to where if I had 3 months of income, that for 3 months I would try things, I would get on my computer, and then at the end of 3 months, I would be right where I would have been if I had just quit my job. So it was also another situation to where I knew that it was time, like coming out of the pandemic, that we can ride this wave. And it was just, it just lined up for me. There's a really long story here, I guess, but basically the course was closing down and I really wanted to take it, and it became an opportunity to take it. And I took that as a chance to just do all the above. So when I joined this course, I told myself I was going to go into it wholeheartedly, full force, like do everything they say to a T, spend literally like block out 6 weeks on my calendar and just do nothing but learn this and apply it. Right. and that I'm not looking back. I'm going to make this video business work. So we were already doing it. We already had clients. We were already doing things. We have some repeat business. There's definitely things going on. This was just going to be the first time that like all of my income was coming solely from this. So if we didn't have clients, we didn't have money to pay our bills, basically. Again, don't recommend that. Okay, this is just for work for me. I knew within my heart of heart, this wasn't something that I did on a whim because I don't know, just I want to be cool or whatever. It literally was, I sat down and thought about it a lot, and I realized in order for me to actually put myself 100% into this and just rip the Band-Aid was to do it, right? So in doing it, I kind of trailed off from talking about the course, but I have already paid back my investment is basically where we were going before I went off on that tangent. $2,000 might sound like a lot for a course / coaching program. And while the course, all the different like videos, modules, all the different lessons that you learn, there's quite a bit. They teach you a lot of stuff about video marketing and, or marketing with video and, network. There's so much I can't even get. Sales, even when it comes down to like talking about giving some tips on, finding the legal side of it, like all things you probably don't need to know, but there was a lot to it. It's a very comprehensive course, and I'll probably go back and rewatch things over and over and over again. There's so much I'm like leaving out, but the coaching was the most important part for me because they basically would call you out on your BS, and it kind of left an imprint to where now I do that for myself. And that's kind of the point going forward, is that 6 weeks you get the tools that you need to kind of go and do it on your own. And it's what I needed because I'm literally running my own business here. Like there's nobody else that runs this. We have a small little team. Kara, my wife, I point over here because her desk is over here, but she works with me, and then we have a couple editors, and we have, just some other people that we'll work with and we partner with. We work with other agencies. There's a little bit of a system we have going on here, but it is very much a small team, and I'm the main like head honcho here. I wear many hats, that kind of thing, So in order for me to be able to be that head honcho leader person, I need to be like not worrying about whether, investing in education or, even when it came to the cold calling comment I made, like putting myself out there to actually like go and find business instead of waiting for it to come to me. Like I need to overcome a lot of these things because a lot of it is just internal struggle. Because when you actually put yourself out there and you start overcoming so many things, you realize not only was it not that hard, but things start connecting for you. You start actually like getting more leads, or you start creating better work. And, like a small example would be, we were challenged to create a video for a business in the very beginning. And I reached out to my cousin and, was like, hey, because they have a pretty good sized business. I'm being modest, but they're doing all right. And I figured that would be a good case study for me, but also it's easy because I know them already, and it's not going to be hard to get them to, agree to do a video because it's free video. But what's crazy is you don't realize when you're trying to give away, oh, I didn't tell you that. It was a free video. We were supposed to do it for free. Whether we could sell it or not was not the point. The point was to do it for free, so there's no pressure. So you're not thinking about trying to deliver this, like you just have to go through the process. And believe it or not, it's really hard to give away a free video to people that you don't know. Well, after, getting my cousin to agree to it, or it's my cousin, my uncle, it's their family. The coach was like, no, you need to find someone you don't know. Like that was one of those moments where I was pushed. And like, even for a second, it would be really easy to be like, man, why are you picking on me? Like I found somebody, I'm going to create the video. It's still going to be a good, but he was like, the point was to reach out to someone that you didn't already know, because you needed to learn about their business, and you needed to, like, if you already know them, you already, have, like, you already know it's easy, Well, I'm really glad he pushed me to do it because I did it anyway. And funny story about that, and this will be the first time I'm telling it to like the whole world, but I actually ended up reaching out to 2 other businesses because the first business that I connected with and we agreed to do it actually was in a different city. And I wasn't going to be able to make it because the challenge was to create this free video for a business in 7 days, like from beginning to end, like from planning to shooting to editing, you have 7 days to do it. So the first client being my family was not allowed. The second one being they were too far away and I wasn't going to be able to do it, which I still agreed to do it for them because I had got when we connected, and I was like, I promised you I'm still going to do it. But I had to find a third business, I guess, technically in this case, and ended up making a video for them as well. Well, I'm so happy I did all of it. At first, it might be easy to be like, oh my gosh, you did 3 free videos. Yes, I know. And that means I had to edit them and do everything, and I didn't get paid a cent for it. But I learned so much. And one of the 3 videos so far already has, I learned so much. And like we, as like working together as a team, I guess, the client and me, we had such a amazing experience. And so I still will tell stories. I will be telling stories from that particular video in my business for a while, because there was such a profound connection that we had. We created such a good video from it. If you're interested in what video it is, it's the one for T-Bone Active. If you are on my page or you know how to find my content, if there's a chance for me to link stuff, I'll link it below. But yes, they're a gym in San Angelo, Texas. Wonderful people, incredible people. I made another video talking about their experience where it's us talking on Zoom side by side, where you can see that too. I shared that as well. That might be even a future podcast at some point. So in closing, basically what I'm saying is that in him challenging me, I ended up meeting one of one of the coolest couples in a city that I don't even live in. And we made an amazing video for them, and it definitely helped their business. And, that's why we're doing all this. So in closing, basically what I'm saying is it was well worth it. Like, even though, yes, I just told you I did 3 videos. So I guess maybe in a way I went negative there if you're thinking about the money and being really technical about it. But I've definitely booked 2 deals off of this course from the learnings that I've made. Meaning, even if you would argue that I would have booked these 2 deals without the course, I guess, it wouldn't have been as smooth. No, that's not true. There's definitely one of them for sure, hands down, that the price of the video ended up like way getting back my return or whatever on the course. That video was specifically brought into existence because of what I learned in the course, because it's a process they teach us. And I put myself out there to pitch it, basically. Like, I was in a meeting with this client and I said to myself, like, he needs to make this video. And so I said it to him. I was like, you need to make this video. And we talked, and I really just and it wasn't even, when you hear the word sales, that sounds like cringy, but it wasn't even a situation of me talking about features. I just was real with him and just told him exactly, because that's what came up naturally. It wasn't a situation where I was like, ooh, I have this new product that I got to go push on people. It was legit, just came up organically in the conversation, where I was like, oh, what would be like, if you're trying to do this, you should make this video. And, it was just easy. It was like a no-brainer, right? So that like light bulb moment was basically like, oh my gosh, like, I just sold that video based on stuff that I learned in the course and from the coaches, and it paid for my investment. So, and of course I can use that over and over again and go forward. So to all businesses, I say, not just the video creators that may be watching or listening to this, I definitely recommend it. Even if it's not a course attached to it, having someone to kind of hold you accountable for a little while, to lean on and be able to, and not just your friends, not just your bros or your girls or your family, because sometimes these people don't own their own businesses. They don't know. Or even if they do, maybe they're not doing it the way that you would do it. That was specific to this coach I hired, as it's not just an everyday business coach. They were video business coaches. Their whole thing was video and how to sell video and how to make great videos and how to get, and like, really they rope you in by saying how you're going to sell video. But when you really get into it, you really are actually learning like to provide value for your clients and how to create videos that actually get results for your clients. It changed my whole business, because it was like, now I realize that where we were making videos before that looked really cool, and people would see the videos when we made them and be like, dude, this looks awesome, you made this. But then for the business, it would get like 3 views, because it was just a bunch of markety like speak, where people were just like, we have so many locations and we do all these things and we're the best in DFW, or whatever it is that people say in marketing videos that we all don't watch anymore. We don't like being sold to. So we get to a point where we're just like, yeah, I get it. You're the best in DFW. Every business says that. and really getting to the point where it's like, just for example, story driven content. When you tell your story, and I don't literally mean always like we started our business back in 1922, and sometimes people don't have that story. Sometimes people literally just, you know, like bought a business, I guess, or whatever, but there is still something about your business that makes you different from everybody else. Like I was literally watching a presentation earlier from someone who does restoration, and I didn't realize one of the things he talked about in his presentation was that they can save stuff. I think when your house burns down, they just, or, gets flooded, they just tear it all out and replace it all. But sometimes they can dry it out. That's just like a small thing. But also he talked about like when a house burned, that the chemicals and the stuff that burns, lets off toxic. So you would think, this is just me, whenever I go into my house after it burns down, I'm going to be sifting through the things. And if it's things that are metal that I can probably salvage, I'm going to pull it out and try and salvage it. But there's a lot of toxic fumes that are still being emitted from all this burnt stuff, and like even cancer. So I didn't know that until he presented. And as a video person, I'm like, this can be in a video. Like this needs to be in a video, because video is timeless. Like it can literally be watched at any hour of the day. You could be on a plane flying somewhere, like working on something for your business or networking, or going to a conference or whatever it may be, and this video can be playing for people on your website to where they're getting that same aha moment. And when we learned, and I kind of already knew, if I'm being truthful, before this coaching program course, that there was something to that, but just having more, like tools in my toolbox of like how we can get there and types of videos we can create. And so in summary, because I'm going to run out of my 30-minute time that I'm going to try and stay to, is that in hiring a course, sometimes even if you already know it, just having someone else to bounce it off of was worth it. And I can say, if you do it right and you apply what you learn, and when I say do it right, that's probably not the way I should have said it, but I'm saying, like, if you make sure you're hiring someone that is obviously someone that can help you out. I don't know how many business coaches there are out there in the world. I'm not real well versed on this subject. This is one of those things where I talked about, you guys are going to learn along with me. I see the value. I've already made back the money I've spent on it and then some, and I will be doing it going forward. Education is something that's always been really important to me. I will buy courses online, even if it's just a $20 course about lighting. I will, or about editing or whatever it may be when it pertains to video. But I do also read a lot of books when it comes to business or self-help, or just lots of things, right? So I've already seen the light, and I'm going to hire coaches more often, even when it comes to maybe talking about running a bigger business or opening a different type of business, or maybe when I get into investing and just all these different things, I see the value. I'm sold. So I just wanted to tell the world about that. I just really wanted to share my experience, and without getting too deep into the details, but coming up on other podcast episodes, I definitely want to talk about some of the other things I have planned for my business, and how they could you could do the same thing in yours. Like I mentioned earlier, for instance, types of videos you can make right now. Like I have an idea to do one where it's the top 3 videos, or 3 videos you could make right now that, would actually get a return on your efforts or on your money if you ended up spending some money creating that. So, yeah. So I thank you guys for listening. My name again is Chris Burke. I'm a filmmaker. My company is Burke Creative. I should have said that in the beginning. I'm going to work on this little intro outro thing and get it a little bit more smooth for you guys. Wow. I'm probably drinking a lot of coffee today. I am good with words. Okay. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you guys in the next episode. I'm just going to get out of here.